really sticky and you don't want to be sitting there trying to peel it off your hands. Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Digital Paw Workshop. It is I, that door that loves to squeak in the middle of the night, Techno Meow Tinkerer. And today we're just going to cover a little inexpensive way to soundproof the door of your room. And this is what I did when prepping my room for audio recording. This is a inexpensive way because when you look at trying to soundproof a door, those mats that go on the door can get pretty expensive. The replacing a door can also be expensive, and then you have to worry about where you're going to store the old door. And my door is a hollow core door, but we'll get into that in a moment. The very first thing we're going to do, is we can see right here in the video, is I'm going to put weather stripping around my door. Now, weather stripping is not necessarily itself very soundproof, but it helps deaden the sound, because if air can't get around something, it's hard for the sound to get around it. And right here I'm measuring the length of the header of the door, or lintel. I know doors work on a post and lintel system. I guess it could be a lintel, or it's called the header. Now I don't know what you call the little lip on the inside, but right there's where I need to cut. And looking back on now, I should have cut the two sides and split them in half before I measured the length. But I'm pulling right on up, and we're just going to cut the length we need. And here we're going to show that where I need to cut to pull the two sides apart. This is what I should have done first, looking back on it now, but this is my first time using weather stripping. Might actually get some more of this stuff. I do have a window that cold air loves to seep through. And just peel part of the back. Now I just buy an inch or two off the back. That way you can kind of line up where you need to put it and then stick it to it. And as you slowly pull the back off, you can place it. And this way it keeps the back adhesive from getting dirty. Or if you make a mistake, it's easier to pull off at that point. And now I didn't see that dip right there to my right of my hand when I was doing this. But right around here, yeah, I really had a dip. I had to pull off and readjust. And that makes it a whole lot easier when you only have a little bit of back of exposed. And just keep going until you're right there at the end. It's not that very hard to put on. But this, like I said, is to help cut down on some of the air traveling around my door. Now what I did for the bottom of the door, I just use a blanket. You can buy things to attach to the bottom of the door, sweeps and stuff to help block the sound. But I just throw a blanket down there when I go to record. Now here I'm getting ready to do the side of the door, the post side. And I did this for both sides. Now, the side of the hinges, when I first did, I had to take off and rely it to the actual post, not that little lip that I'm doing right here on the camera. And that's because when I went to close my door did not really want to close that way. So I had to relocate it. That way I could close my door. It's hard to believe that little bit of rubber would keep a door from wanting to close all the way. It didn't affect the side of the that the handle's on. It was affecting the side that the hinge was on. And it could be, this is an old house, so it could be just because of the spacing. It had more spacing on the side of the hinge than it did, the side of the handle than it did of the hinge. And that's pretty much all I did for as some of the air that goes around the door. Now, far as the hollow core door itself, as we see right here, I took the door off, and I'm going to fill it with foam, the expandable foam. And what I did is I first took the hinges off, and I drilled a hole behind the hinges to fill in. Now, looking back on this, I should have gone in the top and the bottom. Drill 2 holes in the top and 2 holes in the bottom, because doing it this way, I end up only filling the top quarter and the bottom quarter of the door. Now, the door is hollow core, except for just above the handle there is a cross brace. Tapping on the door, you can tell whether it's hollow, where it's hollow and where it's not. And I couldn't go in at the handle because the handle, like the hinges, are in a solid piece of wood that's framing the door. But this was the first idea we had, as me and my dad, as far as filling the door up to try to hide the holes. Now the first hole I'm drilling here is for air. It is slightly smaller than the screw hole, and I'm drilling it in the screw hole. And this is to let air escape as I fill it up. Now I don't know if I really needed to do this. I didn't want to take the chances though of me trying to fill the door with the foam and it causing pressure in the door to pop. But the hole I just drilled there is for the foam to go through. And like I said, I drilled the air hole, the air escape hole should be, to keep the door from pressure from building up as I'm putting the foam in. Now you will need gloves. This stuff is sticky. I mean, it is really sticky, and you don't want to be sitting there trying to peel it off your hands. I think I did get a little bit on, like around the base of the thumb, at one point, and it took me a few days of scraping to get it off, and it was just a tiny bit. So imagine getting a little big piece of this on, how long it's going to take to get off. Now I should have done this before I put the gloves on, but I just checked to see if the straw would fit. Turned out my largest drill bit was like a 1/16 of an inch too small for the straw to fit into the hole. And so right now I'm having to go back and I'm having to drill it out, hollow it out some to see if the straw will fit. I'm going, drill, baby, drill, drill, baby, drill. And I spent some time working on this. I don't know no easy way to widen a hole bigger than the bit you got. But I'm sitting here trying to do it at angles, grind up and down the edges. What eventually happened is I did get it large enough that I could put the straw in. I just couldn't put the straw all the way through, which is what I kind of wanted to do. But I did able to get it to the point where I could put the straw in, so when I go to spray the foam in, it won't shoot out from the edges of the straw and go across the outside of the door. And that kind of fit pretty good, but I still trying to do it. It ain't, and I realize I ain't really getting much of anywhere, so I just says this is good enough. And I did this for both ends of the door at the same time. I just only recorded one end and edited out the dead space. And just attach the nozzle onto the straw. Now the can said to shake it. Some people say don't to shake it, but the can said to shake it up before use. And the foam I picked was one that was supposed to expand to 3 inches. And partly because I just didn't want to use too many cans to fill this thing up, because I didn't know how, this is my first time using the stuff, so I didn't know how it was going to work. Yep, and just shoot it on in and wipe the excess off. And these cans cost about like $5-6, somewhere around that area. And just wipe off the excess and clean out the hole, that way I can keep spraying it in. And so I'll spray one end, go to the other end, spray it, let it foam up, then keep going back and forth until I end up using the whole can just to basically fill half the door. You see right there at the bottom, I could have drilled up 2 holes in and shot through the door and fill up one side and do the same thing from the top. And I probably would have used, it might have been used total of 2 cans to fill the whole door up. I'm not 1% sure. If I went that way, would have done that. Because I don't think I gave some of the foam enough time to expand before I went to refill it, put some more in. But I didn't know how long it was going to take before the stuff completely hardened and dried, and I wouldn't be able to have to clip off the edge of the hose or whatever. And I'm just putting the hinges back on. And so this is kind of a inexpensive way, and hopefully you learn from my mistakes, that if you got a hollow core door, how to fill it with foam. That way, if you want to soundproof your room a little bit. Oh, one reason I just realized I put the wrong hinge on this end, so later on I had to switch the hinges out. You wouldn't think, but for some reason the screw holes didn't line up on the other hinge, and so I had to swap the two. My mistake for not paying attention about which hinge I took off of which thing. I was just automatically assuming they both would be lined up pretty much the same. I don't know why. I should know from my past experiences of mountain stuff that not always you can get everything perfect. But just simply after all this, when put it back on the frame, put it back, hung the door back up. And this has been pretty much an inexpensive way of how to soundproof your door. I hope this was informative for somebody and helped somebody out. And please, if you want to support the channel, like and subscribe. Share the video to anybody you know that may be wanting to do this sort of stuff. And I hope all of you have a great day.
Yeah.